let's explore a couple of examples of just how intuition can show up in our lives and also what it may feel like. So, first, let's try to describe the feeling that we might get when we experience an intuitive nudge. Now, it might feel like a light bulb moment when all of a sudden, let's say, you have a moment of absolute clarity in regards to solving a problem or making a plan, or you have a piece of information that feels like you didn't know you had, or you think of a new and perhaps even unusual way about a situation at hand that seem to make all the puzzle pieces fit together. And this also referred to as epiphany. Now, another way, for example, is when it feels like a pit in our stomach, especially when we have a intuitive feeling about something or someone that might signal danger of some kind. And it is also not unusual to experience some kind of sudden, weird, or unexplained body ache or pain, like the feeling, a feeling of a migraine coming on, for example. But as soon as the danger passes or the situation is over, that weird pain, that ache, goes away just as suddenly. Of course, we might experience our intuition in many ways. And those who are conscious and observant enough might even recognize patterns of intuitive feelings, and then they can pair them with just what kind of intuitive message they are getting, may it be positive or negative. Now, Einstein said that intuition is nothing but the outcome of earlier intellectual experiences. And to some degree, I agree with Albert on that. But intuition at large, in my opinion, is much more complex. And just like synchronistic events, intuition can be connected to the ideas and concepts and theories like quantum entanglement or quantum non locality or the collective unconscious or even the Akashic records. Now, intuition can guide us in many ways. For example, let's say you decide one day to take an earlier transportation service only to find out later, to hear that the one you would normally take was cancelled and you had an important appointment or meeting that day and you wouldn't been able to be there on time. Or you decide to go a different route one day only to learn that there was an accident along your normal route. Or you are desperately searching for an item and you have absolutely no idea where you put it. And all of a sudden, you get this feeling to look for it in a highly unlikely place. And voila, there it is. Or you purchase something by accident or just in case, only to realize later that that item was a, so to speak, lifesaver. And so on and so on. You get what I'm saying, right? But now, for the lack of a better word, let's refer to these above mentioned intuitive nudges as standard intuition or a standard intuitive occurrence. Because I'm pretty sure that everyone or almost everyone experiences these kind of things. They might be tuned in, maybe they are not tuned in, but I think human beings are quite intuitive. But let's talk about something a little bit more out there. And I'm going to talk about something very interesting. These are the four Clair senses. In my opinion and experience, some of us are more sensitive, let's say, when we come into this world, when we come into this incarnation, we come in with a heightened extrasensory ability or predisposition, if you will. However, these abilities can be developed and fine-tuned with patience and with conscious observation and practice, so to speak. So there's no one particular person who is more special than others when it comes to intuition and intuitive abilities. However, some people are a bit more in tune, or they have a heightened extrasensory awareness. Let's just say that. So, the four Clair abilities are clairvoyance, which means clear seeing. And this ability connects one with the intuition via visions and images and perhaps even symbols seen with the inner eye, so to speak. Then there's clairaudience, which means clear hearing. And this is an ability to hear messages with intuitive insight in one's mind. But that's important to note that this is not equal to hearing voices. There's a big difference. Now there's clear sentience, which means clear sensing or clear feeling. And it is an intuitive feeling, and it is closest to what we just refer to as standard intuition. In many ways, it is a heightened and more tuned in form of empathy, let's say. Its basis is the ability to tune into the energetic vibration of people, objects, and places and intuitively interpret them. And it is an interesting fact, and perhaps important to know, that people who grew up in an unsafe environment, where they had to rely on picking up on clues like that to keep safe, often develop this sense rapidly as children. It's sad, but true. And then there is claircognition, the ability to perceive more than what could be perceived by the five senses normally. It is the intuitive ability or the power of clear knowing or divine knowledge about ideas or life events or incidences before they happen, or lot longer after they have happened, in a way that is perceived impossible for someone to know. And perhaps this form of intuition is the most mysterious, as in just where the information is coming from. Now, human beings are intuitive by nature, but many people are not in tune with their abilities. And there are some people who are very much in tune with their abilities. And there are people who offer the intuitive powers as psychics or even mediums. And just how accurate they are, that's another question. In any case, I would advise anyone seeking guidance from such individuals to be aware and to use discernment. And for those who wish to strengthen their intuition, I would say patience, observation, and practice. And I would absolutely suggest journaling the experiences. It can be very helpful to be able to see the big picture, because sometimes things only make sense somewhat later. So I hope you enjoyed this topic. And if you did, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll leave you with all of this for now. But I hope to see you next time.